This is Legal and Ethical Issues in Education PowerPoint. It was our group project. My group was Allison Matthews, Amanda Rosworn, Christopher Shaw, and I'm Jennifer Snellgrove. Professional educators have accepted the responsibility of upholding the law and high ethical standards. According to the Alabama Code of Ethics, educators must value the worth and dignity of every person. Educators must be devoted to excellence in every matter. Educators must actively support the pursuit of knowledge. Educators must fully participate in the nurturance of democratic citizenry. Educators must adhere to a high ethical standard. Educators must abide by federal, state, and local laws and statutes. What are some issues that educators need to be informed about? They should be informed about religion, freedom of expression, search and seizure, due process, liability in student records, and individuals with disabilities. Religion in public schools. The First Amendment outlines directions for all school personnel regarding religion in two important clauses. They are the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause. The Establishment Clause prohibits the state from passing laws that establish religion, aid a religion, or show preference for one religion. The Free Exercise Clause prohibits the state from interfering with individual religious freedoms and protects the individual's rights to choose religious beliefs and engage in religious practices. What about prayer at school? Educators must refrain from endorsing any school-sanctioned prayer. This includes silent meditation and school-wide prayers. Students possess First Amendment rights to free expression and may initiate prayer if it doesn't cause disruption or infringe on the rights of others. The Bible and religious materials. The Bible or religious symbols may not be used or displayed unless there is a secular purpose that is clearly served. The Bible may be presented as a historical document from a historical or literature study perspective, but not from a religious standpoint. The Lemon Standard. This was established in 1971. It was a landmark case, Lemon versus Kurtzman. It was established with three criteria that help determine the legality of practices involving religion in school. It must have a secular purpose. It must neither advance, prohibit, nor inhibit religion. It must not create excess entanglement. Freedom of expression for students. This is the freedoms of speech, press, assembly, and petition are often collectively referred to as the freedom of expression, and U.S. Supreme Court has developed a separate body of case law regarding the free expression rights of students. In defining the free expression rights of students in a public school, the court has developed three different tests for the following landmark cases, and they are listed below. Tinker versus Desmond, Bethel School District, number 403 versus Frazier, and Hazelwood School District versus Coleman. The Tinker Standard. 3 students wore black armbands to their Iowa public schools in December in 1965 to protest the Vietnam conflict. Their protest eventually culminated in the leading First Amendment free speech case for public school students. This ruling means school officials may not silence student expression would cause a substantial disruption for the school. The Tinker Standard. Expression for years until the Supreme Court decided 2 other cases in the 1980s. The Frazier Standard. In the case of Bethel versus Frazier, the Supreme Court ruled that school officials could punish a high school senior for giving a speech before the student assembly containing lewd references. Despite the ruling in the case, courts are still divided in how they apply the Frazier Standard. Some courts apply Frazier to all vulgar or lewd student speech, even if the speech is student-initiated. Other courts only apply Frazier to vulgar student speech that is in some way school-sponsored. The Hazelwood Standard. In this standard, the court ruled that students' First Amendment rights were not violated when a school principal censored 2 student articles on controversial topics. The principal had ordered the stories removed from the paper because he believed that the story about teen pregnancy was inappropriate for some of the younger students at the school, based on its discussion of sexual activity and birth control. The court created the Hazelwood Standard, which states that educators do not offend the First Amendment by exercising editorial control over style and content of student speech in school-sponsored expressive activity, so long as their actions are reasonably related to legitimate instructional concerns. Search and seizure. What is search and seizure? It's the 4th Amendment to the United States Constitution. It provides protection against unreasonable search and seizure to all citizens. While students are afforded these rights, schools have the right to conduct searches in certain circumstances. All searches must be reasonable and must not violate a student's constitutional rights. There must be reasonable suspicion must exist based on information gained from other students or teachers that is considered reliable. No warrant is required in order for school personnel to conduct a search if reasonable suspicion exists. A search must be justified and related to the circumstances requiring the search. Sweep searches of all students are not permitted. When school property, including desks and locks, are searched, school personnel must have reason to believe that rules have been violated or safety and health are at stake. Students should be notified by written policy that these items may be searched. Personal searches should always be a last resort. What is due process? Due process is the legal requirement that the state must respect of all the legal rights that are owed to a person. This process should involve notice to inform individual of decision that will affect rights of person or property, the right to grieve, and the right to appeal if not satisfied with the outcome. It should be balance the power of law of the land and protect the person from it. It should ensure that the government treats individuals fairly and does not abuse its power. Liability in student records. This is the FERPA Act, and it protects the confidentiality of student records and guarantees parents and students a degree of confidentiality and fundamental fairness with respect to the maintenance and use of student records. It's known as the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. This is Education for All Handicapped Children, Individuals with Disability Act, which is IDEA 1990, and IDEIA, which was developed in 2004. Education for All Handicapped Children Act was in 1975. This provides the educational needs of children with disabilities and allows them to receive an education equal to their non-disabled counterparts. In 1990, an update was made to the original 1975 legislation where infants and toddlers from birth to age 2 are covered by the Act. In 2004, this update was made with early intervention services. Children with disabilities from the age of 3 and 21 are guaranteed the right to a free, appropriate public education. Technology-related assistance for individuals with disabilities Act. This was developed in 1994. It was made an amendment of IDEA. IDEA gives states financial assistance for assistive technology devices, therapies, and training to benefit students with disabilities. The guidelines for students with disabilities. They are allowed to go in the regular classroom where the teachers identify students who may need services. This is RTI, response to intervention. It's attempted before any other services are performed. Students should be placed in the least restrictive environment possible with non-disabled children if possible. IDEA mandates inclusion of disabled students in regular classrooms, and the students may not be punished for behavior that is a manifestation of their disability. Section 504, this covers students with disabilities and provides special services. Necessary accommodations should be made to cover students with health issues or other disabilities. Alabama Educator Code of Ethics. This is a guide for educators concerning ethical conduct. It protects the health, safety, and general welfare of students and educators. It outlines objective standards of conduct for professional educators, and it clearly defines actions of unethical nature for which disciplinary sanctions are justified. Alabama Educator Code of Ethics, there's 9 standards: professional conduct, trustworthiness, unlawful acts, teacher-student relationship, alcohol, drug, and tobacco use or possession, public funds and property, remunerative conduct, maintenance of confidentiality, and abandonment of contract. Reporting. This is breaches of one or more of the standards should be reported as soon as possible, but no later than 60 days from the date the educator became aware of the alleged breach. Be aware of local school board policies and procedures and chain of command for reporting unethical conduct. In law, a man is guilty when he violates the rights of another. In ethics, he is guilty if he only thinks of doing so. Immanuel Kant. That is our conclusion. And our references are listed